Hi YouTubers, this is another video from me, Evelyn. Today we're going to be doing a retrospect of the 2010 film Tron Legacy that was produced, made by Disney. It was the long-awaited sequel of the 1982 original film called Tron. It starred Jeff Bridges as Kevin Flynn, and Tron was played by Bruce Boxall-Tyner, who was the representation of the program Tron and also the user that made the program. So a quick overall background. Tron, the first film, was about Kevin Flynn being booted out from Encom when he created this game called Space Paranoid. So he opened up his own arcade at the time in the 80s of the arcade games, and he was looking a way to prove that the game that made Encom so successful was actually his, that was taken over by the user of the master controller of Edward Dillinger that took over Flynn's game. So to cut the long story short, the guy, or Alan Bradley, that was the one that created the program Tron, and Bradley's girlfriend, they all break into Encom, and Flynn's there, and he manages to discover that the game was the game he created, get the information, but unbeknownst to him, the master control program, MCP, had artificial intelligence. The main reason I'm doing this video, because I think Tron Legacy, the 2010 sequel, was underappreciated. Of course, it could have been improved with some script writing, but imagine Tron Legacy with the technology and everything that's going on now of artificial intelligence. Elon Musk did a conference with the British Prime Minister and other people, and people right now are scared about the idea of computers being sentient, like technology. I found this to be such an interesting film in so many ways. It explained a lot of things about, we create things and we think that, let's say, machines, hardware, like, has no life. Will it gain sentient beings? We don't know. That's the never-ending fear. At the end of the first Tron movie, Kevin manages to get the information he needs, ends up booting out Dillinger, and he becomes head of Encom with his friend Alan Bradley, aka Tron. And of course, with Tron Legacy, I had no idea about the program Clue, which was basically Kevin Flynn's alter ego, the program he created in his likeness and his image. So Tron Legacy does get a little bit biblical in the sense, because now we know after the first film, Kevin Flynn develops more the grid, brings on Tron, the character. The only downside that I saw with Tron Legacy that was other people's complaint that there wasn't so much of Tron. We already get him in flashbacks, and then we find out that he gets corrupted and turned into another character called Rinsler. So with Tron Legacy, I thought it was too mature for younger people. I saw this when I was 13, 14. I understood some of the references, but even though that I understood the references, I found the dialogue from Jeff Bridges a little bit out of the place. But looking in context as a mature adult, if we see that at 35 years old, Kevin Flynn gets stuck in the grid, so his mind is still stuck back in the early 90s, mid 80s, so the vocabulary that he has is all that time. So Tron Legacy starts off that Kevin Flynn, we have the flashback, him talking to his son Sam Flynn. Now this is the other bit that I think people found off-putting, because of course right now the Disney's CGI on using facial rejuvenation, like computer-wise, is incredibly amazing. Look at Ant-Man and Michael Douglas. But when we saw it at that point in 2010, like, it was so off-putting and really weird. But if you were to see it now, it kind of makes sense, because the whole world is about artificial intelligence. Can programs have life? So I think it's well put in, looking contextual wise in this era. So when we get at the beginning of Tron Legacy, Kevin's telling Sam the story about when he went into the grid, met Tron, and they saved everybody. Kevin goes and says, oh, I need to do something, and then we'll go tomorrow to the arcade and play a game. And then of course his son is so happy, Sam. And then we find out that he goes missing. We have a great opening shot of these montage of TVs and news going about that since Kevin Flynn disappeared, the control of Encom was passed down to Alan, aka Tron, but he lost control, but the biggest shareholder is Sam. So flash forward, let's say 20 years into the future, now 2010 at that time, is the annual meeting of the Encom people, including Alan Bradley, and every year Sam goes and does something like a stunt to expose Encom at that moment for just being money-grabbing people. Now, in 2010, we see Cillian Murphy from AKA like Oppenheimer, AKA from Batman, AKA any other movie that you've seen him, also now in Peaky Blinders. I haven't seen that series. He is the son of Edward Dillinger from the first movie. The trouble I think this movie had, since it was too long far apart, and the first movie, from the sense I get, was kind of praised for its advancements, but at the time people criticized, oh, too much computer generation. So I kind of had the sense, I think that's what was the trouble with Tron Legacy, that the two movies had a lot of connections, but 1982 and 2010, some of the references I think got lost in some of the younger viewers and they didn't quite understand it. But we get Alan Bradley and the actor of Bruce. I can't pronounce the guy's surnames, so hey, forgive me with that. They're about to launch a new program, but Alan says, what advancements have we made since Kevin Flynn has disappeared? And the main guy of Mackie just brushes him off. Then we get a cool opening shot of Sam breaking into Encom, his own place, uploading this program for free on the web, and he jumps off in a parachute from the top of Encom building. Such a great opening shot. And what makes this movie so special is Daft Punk's music. That was such a beautiful combination. The main themes with Tron Legacy is the abandonment of the son, that we can kind of tell that maybe Kevin Flynn took more his work of importance than his son. And the other big, the mom in this picture apparently died. And we see that Sam trying to figure out what the hell he's going to do with his life. He's still incredibly smart, but then again, Alan comes down to see Sam after he comes out from the jail after jumping off from a building and the parachute X, Y, and Z, and tells him, I received a page from the arcade. And then Sam goes and says, what? That, okay, good for you. And then Alan tells him the obvious. This number's been disconnected for 20 years. We can see that Alan Bradley is dedicated to his friend. I think maybe there's a lot of things we could have wished could happen, more scenes with Alan, like Bruce and Jeff Bridges, the interaction together. Even in the first film of Tron, there wasn't so much of that interaction, even though that awkward thing that Alan was with Kevin's ex-girlfriend, but they was all helping each other, and the ending was kind of like, oh, Kevin's now the boss of the place, we can all like work with him. But however, with Tron Legacy, it's more like religious themes of Kevin Flynn being the creator of the grid, the programs, like being able to master the laser that his ex-girlfriend, we have to thank the ex-girlfriend here. She was, when I saw the first film, she helped create this laser and able to digitize human beings into another world, something along the lines of that. So when Sam goes to the arcade, now the arcade is a callback to the first film. I could put shot by shot here. He goes in, turns on the lights, and then we have the music of Journey, Separate Ways. When I heard that, I like classic rock. I like music from the 80s. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, it was like that nostalgia. Even though I wasn't born at that time, I have an appreciation for that time, for the experimentation, the music. So he goes to investigate, and we see a callback to all these different games, and we see the game of Tron. And then Sam goes and finds out that his dad had a hidden room, which leaves him surprised. Everything is dusty as heck, and Sam tries to see what the hell is going on, so he does some hacking on the computer system. Even though, let's say that Kevin Flynn in the early 90s disappeared, Tron Legacy does look about advanced technology like touchscreen computers and stuff that probably wasn't even created to the mass markets at that time. So unbeknownst to him, Sam gets transported into the grid. Since we have the advancement of technology, the special effects 10 times more better than the first film. The gripe about the first film, the color scheme, awful color scheme, such dark colors, and as well the suits and everything, but the idea of Tron was ahead of its time, and in 2010 we get the beautiful visual effects of Sam going from the real world to the grid, where we have an exact replica of how certain parts of Kevin Flynn's world is. From the color scheme gray, we have the neon lights, like the shades of dark blue to green to like the neon whites. And then Sam comes to that conclusion that his dad was telling the truth. And the main things within the film is we find out through flashbacks that Kevin Flynn like he had many responsibilities, his son, the company, and what he's trying to do. So he brought Tron from the old system, he created Clue in his likeness. But the trouble is, when you create something in your likeness with your type of thinking at the time, with programs and stuff, they could take it that literal. And when you kind of like, Kevin Flynn in this case is, the God entity. That when you don't have the full recognition of certain things, the things you create misinterpret it and take it too literal. And we have to realize that Kevin Flynn is a human. He's not God per se. People make mistakes. So unbeknownst to him, Kevin Flynn gets trapped into the grid when Clue, his own creation, his own likeness, goes and does a coup, goes and defeats Tron, Clue, and changing him into Rinsler and making Kevin Flynn stuck in the world. The reason that we find this in flashbacks is because Sam Flynn gets taken to the grid, the games, and then he meets Cora, and Cora was rescued by Kevin, his dad, and they have that reunion. We could see with that reunion that it was Jeff Bridges' great actor. He knocked it out of the park. But I think what was missing was some more emotion from the actor at the time of Jared Hudlin. We could see he's really trying in certain aspects. But the ending part of the film, I'll explain in a bit. But we can see as well that Sam Flynn has good intelligence, because when he first meets Clue, when he takes off the helmet, he thinks it's my dad, and he still looks the same. He realizes the cold emotion that Clue displays, and Clue tells him, look, I'm not your dad. And when they go and fight against each other through the racing on the cars, on the motorcycles, great special effects there as well. He gets saved by Cora, and then Cora takes Sam to where Kevin Flynn is, and they have that joyous reunion. And we can see as well that the regret that Kevin Flynn realizes that I spent so much time like prioritizing the wrong things, and I missed 20 years of my son due to my own kind of like ego and mistakes. So to cut the long story short, Sam really wants to rescue his dad, to take him out from the grid, but Kevin tells his son, look, I didn't send you the page, it was Clue. This is all his plan, we better just wait. But Sam was like, no, like, let's do it now, because they only have like 8 hours before the portal closes. Because Kevin explains briefly that the laser or the portal uses massive energy and it can't stay for long. So Kevin and Sam have a little bit of an argument, and Sam talks to Cora about trying to escape from this place, and he can shut down everything and save everybody. And Cora goes and recommends Sam to go and see this program called Suits, but this other guy called Castor can help. And Castor, played by Michael Sheen, was a standout character, but then again, when reading the reviews, it's not like he had that great importance. It was a great spot there, but of course the main characters, 3 characters, was Cora, Sam, and Kevin. So when Sam goes down, he realizes that Castor, aka Zeus, has betrayed the programs, and he's trying to side with Clue. So Sam realizes he's being tricked, but Kevin goes with Cora to rescue his son, and they do that. There's a funny shot of when Kevin does go in. There was those bits, it's kind of hard. This one was like 2 hours, like half an hour long than the original, to kind of really show the inner workings of how Kevin interacted with the programs, the people he created, the programs he created. So when they all see him, there's like all the other good programs in blue, because we get the orange ones that are, the militant, the oppressive people, and the blue ones are just civilians trying to fight back against the oppression. So we see Kevin Flynn go in, and his godlike figure, he manages to save both Cora and Sam, but Cora sustains an injury, and he ends up growing like a godlike figure and everybody praying to him. And we can see Kevin for the first time having to deal with his son after 20 years, and he gets quite annoyed. It's kind of like you really wanted more interaction between Kevin and his own son, but I get it is what it is. Maybe that could have been a bit more emphasis, more story development, but we did get in the scene where Kevin tells Sam, okay, let's do it your way, let's just run to the portal. And then while they're on that floating train thing to go to the portal, that's when Kevin, the most important piece of the film for me, Kevin and Sam finally talk, and he says, tell me how things have been. Or Kevin asks, is my mom and dad, I suppose they're dead? And he says, yeah. Sam tells him, what's going on. Pretty much things are still the same, things haven't changed. But that powerful speech that Kevin says, look, if I could trade all of what you see right now for one more day with you. And that was just the most powerful speech that I could say, like the honesty and the regret that the character that Kevin Flynn feels, that as a genius, for somebody that's so smart, he could have been so dumb to miss the obvious, or what was in front of him, his son, his child. And he kind of realizes that he's going to need to sacrifice everything to make sure his son makes it out back to the real world. Because of course, we find out that Clue's ultimate aim is to take all the programs and go to the real world, because he figured if Kevin Flynn, a human, and another human, Sam, can go into the digital world, that the programs could do the same thing in theory. Now that would have been interesting to see, could that happen? But we'll never find that out, because apparently it didn't happen. So as they get to the portal, Clue's there, and then we have this great majestic scene. We can kind of almost see like Kevin being the godlike figure and Clue being Lucifer. It's kind of like, I did what you want me to do, but that apparently wasn't enough. And Kevin's like, I'm really sorry. Like when I created you, I had no idea that what perfection was. That was something like an unreachable goal, and that it was his mistake. But Clue doesn't want to hear it and he attacks Kevin. And then Sam tries to defend his dad, but Kevin goes and tells Clue, look, remember what you came for. And when Clue goes and says, you know I would beat you, but why did you do this? And he takes Kevin's disc, because the other part of the movie is all programs have this disc that is basically that keeps record of all their track and the movements. So this applies both to Kevin and Sam. And then when Clue goes and sees the disc, and it turns out to be Cora's. One thing I am glossing over, that Cora, played by Olivia Wilde, she's meant to be an isomorphic program, that her programming have the capabilities to do many things for the world apparently. But however, Kevin Flynn's disc is the master key, because it has all of Kevin's knowledge about the programs and doing X, Y, and Z. So Sam's there on the other side of the portal with Cora, and he realizes his dad is going to end up dying, potentially, and he's trying to get to where his dad is, and then Cora tells him this is what he wants. So in that moment, Sam takes that iconic shot, identical to the poster of the original Tron. He goes in there, and then Kevin goes and sees his son completing his dream, basically. Because that's the other bit that's underrated, that Kevin Flynn, like Jeff Bridges, that character in the second Tron movie is trying to advance the human race, try to change humanity for the good. But then again, his son is probably the one going to complete that goal, and that kind of like pure wonder that Jeff Bridges shows, because the movie is carried by Jeff Bridges' presence as the iconic character of Kevin Flynn. So as Sam is off in the portal, Clue is like, okay, I'm gonna go no matter what. And that's when Kevin goes and puts his hands on the floor and starts to activate the reintegration, in which Clue and Kevin merge together. The understanding is that Kevin is going to disappear or like pixel out, which we see at the end, but we see Kevin's eyes glow. And then at the end, Sam is out back in the real world. He uploads everything into a small USB, and then he pages Alan, and then we have that great little dialogue in which Sam tells Alan, I need to see you in MCOM tomorrow. And then Alan's like, what about the board? And then Sam says, you're chairman now. And we get the end shot of Cora being in the real world. Now with Tron Ares, this supposed film in development with Jared Leto, they need to connect some things to the other two films. If not, like Jared Leto he's a good actor per se, but he kind of gives that one-tone note of being like, very introspective, or trying to be like a godlike level acting that Jared Leto always likes to portray. Because when I saw Blade Runner, the sequel, he gave that that feeling, and when I saw the doomed movie of Morbius, he kind of tries to give that off, that he's doing things because he knows the secret. And sometimes it gets lost on people. It gets lost on me that you need to show variations of different emotions. That I don't know in what capacity Jared Leto's character is gonna be. I read in Wikipedia that the strikes have hindered the production, but the end shot, we could have seen a bit more emotion from Sam, or maybe the hint that he's going to try to resurrect his father. The actor Jared Hudlin, he's had his trouble, so I doubt Disney's going to put him for the third film, or probably they're going to explain that his character also disappeared. It's so strange with some, like, the thing is, when actors' lives stop them from being in the sequel, it gets kind of hard for movie studios, because like with Jonathan Major Myers, Kang, the studios are left in the predicament. Also as well with Ezra Miller with DC, they're okay with the acting, they have some potential, but will the studio be condoning people that have done alleged crimes to put out the movie? Now this is quite a long video that I've done. If you reached it at the end, a big thank you, and to any new viewers, I really appreciate you hit the subscribe button. As I leave you always, stay safe.